Okay. Can you see me? Yeah. So I'm up by these onions. Yeah. I think it's, what is it? The 27th? 28th, maybe the 28th. It's my eyes, people. Now, what we're gonna do with this video, I'm pretty sure it's August 28th of 2022. I think it's Sunday anyway. Okay. Before I cut these, I'm gonna show you how nice they are. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just basically rinse them off, chop them up, and I bought this long Asian green onion, 2 of them, when I went out the other day, right? Now, when was that? Friday. I went out on Friday, right? Today's Sunday. Okay. So anyway, because I had to go get my welfare check, right? Because it didn't get processed. Okay. So I ended up going out to a grocery store, T&T, which is an Asian store. I hadn't been in there for a long time. Anyway, I spent a couple $100. It wasn't much. And that's where I bought those onions, right? So I planned on cutting them up along with these things, and I'm going to dehydrate them, mix them up, put them in a jar, and then, use them, right? Okay. So anyway, I was thinking to go to oh boy, I don't know. That's my green onion. Where am I? Yeah. And I was thinking to go, I should have maybe have brought a, and I'm cutting them. I'm not pulling them. I'm just going to cut them, and I don't know. I should probably just pull them out, really, for what it's worth, because the growing season, where am I? The growing season is almost over. These were started with green onions that I had bought in the grocery store. So yeah, I think I'm just going to pull these ones out, because I'm going to dehydrate them anyway. And I started them in the house with the little grow light. Not that anybody was paying attention to it, but whatever. And then I brought them out here, and they've been growing ever since. So anyway, okay. So now I was thinking to go to the hospital tomorrow because it's getting bad, right? But I can't, because Tisha got into this hissy fit. Oh my God. Where it's all over basically Andre, because Andre struggles with the academics. He does, it's just whether it's inherited from his mother or whether it has anything to do with just, development, because not everybody comes out a brain surgeon, right? Children, they develop at different rates, they have different skill sets. And, okay, Sierra did drugs for the first 3 months of her pregnancy. I'm not talking casual use, I'm talking addict, okay? And then, she was on methadone for the remaining 6 months. And then he was born. He had to detox from the methadone and learn to regulate his heat, his temperature, right? And then he was wrongfully apprehended when he was 28 months old, went into foster care, and because of that, he stopped eating for 6 months, and he wouldn't talk, and he was just coming into his, language skills. He was just coming into it when they took him, right? So, when they took him, it was terrible for him, and he refused to eat, and he wouldn't talk. And look, that came from a grocery store. big. It's huge. And then when I got him back, he had tantrums and oh my God. And he was stubborn. And, very, because, he didn't want to have us disappear on him again, right? So he was really insecure, right? And anyway, so I've been doing homeschooling with him, right? Because, it's clear to see that he has some kind of learning disability. Whether he's dyslexic and he's seeing the letters and whatever mixed up, or whether he just can't focus, I don't know. I just know that for some kids, it can take a long time. Right? And really, people, myself, I didn't get good with the English language until I was in my 40s when I started writing. Well, was I 40? When I started working on the nonprofit, when I started writing, when I had to write the Constitution and the bylaws and all that crap, right? That's when I pulled out the dictionary and did a Malcolm X. And my language skills kind of blew up from there. But I used to read a lot when I was a kid. And I was the kind of person, and Shyt was the same way. If you're reading a novel and you came across a word you didn't know, you'd look up the word in a dictionary. It's not like I didn't wasn't exposed to language in the written form. It's just, it took me a really long time to be able to get to where I am at right now. And even then, it's minimal, right? Compared to somebody else with a high IQ, that is, right? That has good, strong language skills, to which Shyt did have at a very early age. Okay, so anyway, now when Tisha was born, it was traumatic because it was negligence, to which the judge didn't hear that part of Judge Ross. He didn't hear that part. He asked me what happened in 98, but we never really got to it because the subject quickly changed and it went into something else, right? But the point is they gave me too much oxytocin to start the contractions. And it was a nurse, Chinese nurse, apparently a new nurse, and she had a bad attitude. I had a dream in advance that it was going to be traumatic with Tisha and she was going to come out blue and I'd be screaming at her to go get my baby air. But that's a dream, so you don't think dreams are going to happen, right? So anyway, I had to go in and I just know that I was in the wheelchair and she was pushing the wheel, and bickering with me, right? Bickering with me. And I just wanted to leave, people. I wanted to leave the hospital. I wanted to go to the Royal Columbian Hospital. And I'm like, I can't deal with this, right? No, you gotta stay, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we were there, I stayed. Anyway, basically, my dream came true in that situation where by the time I was done with this woman, because she was feeding the IV line with the oxytocin, right? And they can adjust it to control your contractions. I don't know if women know this, but it's true. And she must have gave me she did give me too much, though. You see, that's the thing, because Tisha was my 5th child. I've already birthed with epidural and without epidural, all through, the natural route. So I know what birthing is about, right? And this fucking bitch, man. Oh, I'm sorry, boo-boo bitch. She had me heaving, literally heaving, like I don't know what, on that bed, to the point by the time Tisha came out, that woman was trying to hold Tisha in to stop her from flying out of my vagina as I'm heaving. And the people that took me there, my neighbors, right, they were holding me as I was half off the bed from this heaving shit. Anyway, she's saying, don't push, don't push. And she's holding Tisha in. And I'm screaming, I'm not pushing. The next thing you know it, she's got Tisha between my legs, holding her, and Tisha's wobbling. And as blue can be, I seen Tisha. I said, oh my God, she's not breathing. Give her some air. Get her some air. Because this was the new nurse who was proud to put the baby up that she got to be able to catch the baby because the doctor was nowhere to be found. But everybody came running in because it was so freaking traumatic that by the time it was all said and done, you had half the floor in terms of the staff standing there. They were clapping for her for what she did to me, people. It wasn't freaking funny because I was half off the bloody table and she almost killed Tisha. She almost killed Tisha. If I wouldn't have screamed at her to get my baby some air, just like it happened in my dream, that nurse would have been, oh, look what I did. You know, it doesn't take long for the brain to die without oxygen. And Tisha was as blue as could possibly be. And it was clear to see that she wasn't breathing. And it took me to scream at this nurse as I'm hanging half off the bed to get my baby some air. I tell this to Tisha, you know, because she struggles with reading and writing. And she was stubborn. Out of 5 kids, she was the only one who had tantrums. Okay? The only one. Well, I'm sorry, that's not true. Marcane started having tantrums when he was about 26 years old. 24, 26. That's when Marcane started having a couple of tantrums. But in terms of children, when they're small, Tisha was the only one. Oh my God. You don't know what I went through. And I'm a pretty patient mom, so I was pretty patient with her, right? But, you know, she was determined to do what Tisha wanted to do, and because she was the baby of the family. And, you know, Uncle John was always running in front of the pack. Let me do it, you know, don't worry, I know I want something, you know, right? And then, you know, of course, she had older brothers, older sisters. So, you know how it is for the babies in the family. They don't have usually as much responsibility. And because she was such a knucklehead, right, you know, and I could clearly see that she was struggling with academics, right? Out of 5 kids, you know who does and who doesn't. Tisha did, not her fault. I explained that to her, right? And you know, she was in school, and by the time she was in grade 2, you know, the same old yoki dokie, oh, well, you know, she's not doing well in school, she's not grabbing onto the academics, you know, you need to put her on Ritalin. I said, no. So I pulled her out. I pulled her out because she was getting upset, right? You know, she was rebelling and crying and, you know, and it was too much pressure for her, right? So, okay. And then throughout the years, you know, I tried to, you know, give the water to the horse. But of course, if the horse doesn't want to drink the water, you know, the horse isn't going to drink the water, right? And you know, and so Tisha, you know, gets a little bigger, and then she wants to go back into school, and I'm like, okay, well, sure, you can go to the one where Shmay was going by this time, or whatever, just like the local neighborhood, right? No. She wanted to take a bus and go miles and miles away, and you know, and she's young, and I'm like, no, I don't think so, right? You go where, you know, you can walk, right? No, I'm not going. Okay, so I didn't push it because, you know, by this time, you know, I have Sierra, right? Full-blown addict, as if I want to repeat the process, you know, send Tisha to school, make her angry, keep her angry, try and get her to do things that she's not ready for or wanting to or able to or whatever. My goal was to have somebody just grow up and not raid people's gardens, you know, not be a potato thief, not be a wannabe thug, you know, not be, right? Not walk around town carrying knives. I wanted her to grow up to be responsible and, you know, just, right? So she did, though, right? She started working at McDonald's when she was 15, and then you have to remember, too, my girls were working, and they were being responsible, and they were good aunties to Andre, and then Andre goes missing. And he gets kidnapped from a daycare, right? You know what I'm saying? And, you know, there goes that cortisol in the brain, and By this time, she's thinking about maybe going to try it in high school. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because, she's getting older and she's realizing that, that to be an adult is better if you can read and write. English, that is, English, because this is an English, basically speaking society, right? And she's getting frustrated. And then she gets mad. And then she turns around and she blames me for it, that she can't read and write as well as she'd like to. And I tried to explain to her that, well, one, it takes effort. Like, you really do have to apply yourself. You, not me, not them, you. And it's nothing that you can't do basically on your own if you really want to do it, especially with me, because I've got tons and tons and tons of homeschool books, and there is such a thing as called a freaking dictionary and a thesaurus. Right? It takes years for some people. It took me freaking years. So much so that I made myself blind just reading books. No, it's more than that. But, but that part doesn't really... She figures that if I just would have been a knucklehead and forced her to go to school and forced her to do whatever it is that would have made her be able to read and write better, which would have been, in my opinion, abusive and counterproductive because of her personality as she was growing up. I think I would have gotten another Sierra on my hands if I would have done that, because she would have rebelled. And she would have came into contact with the riffraff in the community. She would have came into contact with the riffraff in the community. Okay? And, whereas Shyt was different, she'd go into her room and if she wanted to learn a different language, because her first boyfriend, the kissing boyfriend, he was, I don't know, Czechoslovakian or something like that. Yeah, Syrian or I don't know what he was, but he was something. And he spoke and wrote a different language. And I've got actually Shyt's school, it's not schoolwork, it's work. It's herself, teaching herself how to read and write the language so that she could merge herself with her relationship on an equal playing field when it came to language. And she'd do that. Because I have it, right? I come across her, and I'm like, oh, okay. I can see clearly you were teaching yourself the language that your boyfriend was speaking by reading, writing, and obviously speaking it. And through that, she applied those same skills with the English language, so by the time she got into grade 12, she was well past the college level, and she was marking papers for the teacher with a high percentile in terms of honor student. And she never went to school for that, people. She stayed at home. So for Tisha to say that homeschooling doesn't work is just a bunch of freaking crock, because a lot of it has to do with attitude. And it takes discipline. And it takes years sometimes in order to be able to even say you have a handle on the English language. And even then, right? Nothing's perfect, okay? I mean, look at all the troubles I get. And I think my language skills are pretty good in writing and in speech. Okay? So, but here's the issue. Andre is not excelling as much as Marcaine would like, I would like, most definitely Tisha. Right? And anybody else for that matter. Okay? But it's nothing that we can force on him in terms of, how money is supposed to make you important? And if you don't have money, you're not important, and therefore you deserve to be abused, kicked around town, whatever, on a, kind of a self-esteem, social level. Well, you don't need to have a college education in order to feel intelligent, or to be smart, or to be productive, or to be respectful, or to be trustful, or to be honorable, or to have ethics. That just has to come from you and the core inside of you, right? And then, at some point, you're either going to hunker down and learn to read and write because that's a desire within you. And if it's harder for you to do it, you're going to do it, no matter how many years it takes. And then you get the bragging rights to say you did it because ultimately it comes from you. Or you're just going to be a humble person, man or woman, go to work, be respectful, be honest, be ethical, earn a fair day's wage, go home, look after your family, and you may never be able to read and write very good at all, but that doesn't mean that you don't have self-worth and that you can't be trusted. Okay? That's what I'm shooting for, is the self-worth. You can be trusted. You learn how to, gain skills. And if you can, for sure, get the reading and writing in, because you can't depend on other people to do it for you. Right? That's a big one. And this is what Tisha's learning now. And she blames me for not being hard on her. So because Andre struggles and I'm not adamant to, grab him and sit him down and make him do it over and over and over and over and over and over again, to the point where it may look like he can do it, but, ask him in a week to do it and he won't be able to do it. Okay? Or he's not going to do it to your expectations. So, Tisha is insecure with my situation. More so even now with this stuff. Because if it comes to a point where I can't look after Amari, she's not going to have no time to think about whether she's going to do it or not. Right now she has time to think about it. And she hums and haws because the responsibility is big. And she's resentful that her sister is dead, not here looking after her own son. Okay? Because the burden now is all falling onto Tisha in terms of Andre, quote unquote, and Amari, right? Because once I can't do it, who's going to do it, right? So she's like, well, I'm the one that's going to have to look after Andre. And, you're not hard enough with him on school. You don't do nothing with him. He's not learning anything. He needs to be in school because it's fun in elementary school. And, he's only got 2 more years left. And I don't want you ruining his life like you ruined mine. And I'm like, Tisha, I never ruined your life. At some point, I always tell her, at some point, you have to take some responsibility for your digging your heels into the ground saying, no, I don't want to do it. Right? When have you ever taken yourself and sat yourself down and just said, I'm going to do it? Like, think in your years. Even if I presented it to you, you'd still be, right? So either or, it doesn't matter, because ultimately, my goal for Andre, it's always been, is to stay away from the drugs. Do not be introduced into the riffraff in the neighborhood at an early age, because if they can get them young, they hook them in and they're lifers like Sierra. And, honestly, he can't even go to this courtyard. I've been in this house for 12 freaking years, people. Andre's been at that courtyard over there with that subsidized housing no more than maybe 5 or 6 times in 12 years, because they're so unfriendly over there in terms of the kids start bullying him. These are the kids that are going to go to the school, okay? They go over here, right? In the past, I asked, a parent, if I decided to put Andre in school, can he walk to school with them? Walk back? Oh, no. So they don't want to help with that. They don't, just whatever. He goes and he plays. Next thing you know, it's big kerfuffle and just stupid shit. So, send Andre into school with those kids that are neighbors that he can't even play with now. What do you think's going to happen when he's at school? He's going to get bullied. And because he struggles with the language and the reading and that part of it, it's more reason to even tease him, okay? Which isn't going to help him with his emotional and just overall development, because then he's going to get mouthy, because he's already mouthy. And when Andre wants to argue and just and nit and pick and pick and pick and badger and badger and be stubborn and just be manipulative and whatever it is, because he's quite manipulative, right? And he won't leave you alone. And he doesn't like to take responsibility. You know, he'll end up being in the office. And then they're going to start labeling him a bad boy because he's not fitting in. You know, it's too stressful at this age. He's now just, Marcane spends a lot of time with him, like almost daily. I'd say 4 days or 5 days out of the week, because Marcane's on it. Because we're all a little nervous and worried for Andre with his, with his reading, right? So Marcane goes out of his way to read with him 4 or 5 days out of the week, right? Now, Marcane's method teaching is different than mine, but either or, Andre's reading is slowly but surely starting to get better, right? I have things upstairs where, I'm introducing it to him, saying, well, you can do this, and I want you to do that, and there's this, and if you do it this way, and you do it enough times, this will be the result. But again, Andre, it has to come from you. This year you're going to try harder. You're getting older. You're getting more mature. You're understanding. Things are getting easier for you because he's getting big and he's getting strong and, all these other things, right? So, within a year from now, hopefully his reading will be better and whatnot, right? But to have it stunted just as it's starting to bloom won't help him. And this is what I try and tell Tisha. Okay? Oh, yeah, but me, I hate you. You're a lousy mother. I'm not helping you no more if you don't put Andre in school. I'm not going to pay rent. I'm not taking Amari nowhere. I'm not, fuck you. I hate you. And she's gone. I'm calling social services on you. You're not putting Andre in school. I said, do what you want. Do what you want. If that's what you want to do, you want to be a fucking snake like that with me? What do you mean a snake? I said, yeah, that's exactly what it is. Just what, you can't get your own way? I thought you outgrew tantrums by now. Obviously not. She came out, I came home from being out, right, all fucking day long, whatever it was, because, it took a while to do things. And it took a while to get out of here because I waited. I was ready to go at like 8 in the morning, and I didn't get out of here until almost 9:30. So, anyway, I come back. I'm unloading the groceries, and I'm right here outside, and she just went off on me, people. She just started screaming at the top of her lungs. Everybody came outside, was looking at me because I won't submit to her I'm not submitting to her with her wanting to put Andre in school. I'm coming back and give me his care card and I'm going to take him and you this and you're that and blah, 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 blah. And if you don't do it, I'm not paying rent. I'm not helping you with Amari. I'm calling MCFD on you. You're lousy. You're this. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here already. Like, fuck off. That, right? Give your head a shake, man. So much for going to the hospital on Monday or Tuesday. Fuck no. Andre and I are in the house talking about locking the door, keeping Tisha out. Seriously. As if life isn't hard enough as it is. When that paramedic did what he did with Amari, okay? Greta came to the house, went through the house, right, asked me about Andre, because they're worried too. We're all worried. We're all worried for Andre. We're all feeling, oh gee, the clock is ticking. He's not reading as fast as we'd like him to read. He's not doing, but he's not a bad kid. He sure in the hell doesn't start bullying kids as soon as they come into his turf. Okay? Like I said, 12 years, he can't even go and play in the freaking courtyard. Not even for an hour before shit happens with those boys and their parents. Oh, boys will just be boys. Let them run around and just throw sticks and stones. And if Andre gets hurt, it's his fault. He shouldn't have been here. Go home, Andre. Don't come back. Like, and those are the kids he's going to go to school with? I already told Andre, half of those kids in that complex will be the next generation of drug addicts being shot out in the streets, overdosing on fentanyl and all this other crap. Murder by fentanyl. Who knows? Who knows? So, right? Why go to school? To be taunted in school by the kids that live right next door that taunt you if you go over there for any length of time. Those parents never let Andre play with their kids by coming over here because they're comfortable just to leave them running around in a courtyard unsupervised. Like, right? That's why Jude is the only one. His mom lets him come. But lately it's been this stuff. So Judy's, him and Jude are just playing their Nintendo crap. But other than that, none of those parents let their little boys come over here and play in the yard with Andre. No. So, it's just stupid, man. Stupid. So I'm telling Andre now, I guess you and I and Amari are going to go to the hospital sometime soon. You're going to have to come with me. I went to go ask my neighbor over here because apparently she was standing out there listening to all this crap, going like this to Andre, because right? And I went to ask her if maybe she'd keep an eye on the kids for me because I don't know what the hell my daughter's doing because I need to go to the hospital. She barely opened her door, peeking through her door. I told her what happened. You came out of fucking nowhere, Like, fuck, man. Like, I hate asking Tisha for shit. I do. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm happy and I'm very grateful that she takes Amari to the appointments for me. Okay? If he needs his medication now, because he's on medication now, she'll pick that up for me and bring it to me. Right? If an emergency happens, she'll be here in like 2 seconds. She'll be flying. You wouldn't even see how fast she flies. She'll be like as fast as you could possibly think. If I need to borrow money, obviously she'll lend me money. She's been paying rent. Okay? Now that with Marina though, you see, the thing is, Alex, her boyfriend, looks after his dad, people. Every month, Alex gives his dad, I don't know how much money, but hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and then more money. And Tisha watches Alex's brothers when the dad doesn't want to do because he's doing something else. She cooks for his dad, right? She don't got time for me because she's too busy looking after Alex's dad, and they give him a lot of money. So anyway, now that Marina's here, I said, well, because, I think she wants to stop paying rent and versus just coming to me and saying, Mom, I just don't want to pay rent no more because, blah, 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 right? You got it now, Marina there, so you just, you're on your own kind of thing versus doing it that way. Maybe she just picked a fucking fight with me just so that she could remove herself from it and justify it, okay? It's $400 a month. I mean, I expected it to drop in the next month or two because of Marina. I'd like to keep it as a business room and have Tisha contribute $200 towards it, but not if she thinks she can come into my house, treat me like that, and then tell me what I should live your own life. I tell her, listen, I don't go to Alex's house, wherever you are with this apartment. I don't come there. I've never even been there once, people, because I don't have the privilege to get out like other people do. And I sure in the hell am not some crazy mother-in-law for Alex to start, oh, you need to do this, and you need to do that, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I don't do any of that. She comes here, and, she thinks she can tell me what to do when I should do it. Well, it's bullshit. It's bullshit, and she's doing this with Andre. Total bullshit. So I'm just like, fuck off. I'll find a way. When I can't do it no more, I can't do it no more. Right? in terms of if I can't walk to the doctor's office with Amari in a stroller and Andre because I'm so fucking blind I can't see my way there, then that's when I'll decide what I'm going to do, people. Right now I'm still kind of navigating. It's extremely hard though, but you're going to see in the next couple of 2-3 days, being that I'm grounded to the house because I really don't feel like going to the hospital just yet, with kids yet in tow, right? To the Royal Columbian, which is across the water, versus the Surrey Memorial Hospital. I'm gonna be, well, first tonight I'm gonna do this. Look how nice these are. These are my onions, a different kind of onions that grow every year that I just let them grow. But this year I'm gonna do this, dehydrate them because they're nice, they're tasty. But I got some, today I went out, right, because I got some beef fat. Beef fat and pork fat. So I am going to render both of them, right? I'm going to, after I cut these and get them in the dehydrator, I'm going to start cutting into the fat. It should be starting to unthaw. I probably won't start rendering them tonight because I'm tired. But I'll cut them, put them into chunks, and then I'll put them into the fridge. And then when I get up in the morning, I'm going to render them, and then I'm going to jar them up, and I'm going to show you, right? We did it once before with pork fat when Pastor Granny gave me those bags of meat, well, fat or whatever it was. And because I was at Nestor's, I don't know, they were having a big sale, a big clearance. I picked up a bunch of groceries for, well, they weren't groceries. They were things in bottles and those kind of things for $200, right? And like it felt like the good old days in terms of cost because I was buying things at 50 cents, $1.50, $2, right? So I got a lot of stuff for $200, right? And so I have to work on putting that shit away, right? Which I will. And I got some organic black beans, which is good for like 2 pounds, about 2 pounds for like $1.77. I mean, who would be, considering what I do, and I don't even really have I don't have organic black beans. I do now though. So just, and I'm like this year, I told Andre, we're not eating bug food. No way. You're going to learn how to make your own crackers, Andre. That's what's going to happen here, okay? You're going to learn how to make bread, Andre. We're not chancing it with the stuff that eventually we're going to be buying in the grocery stores because some of this stuff, I don't know, people. Like, they're going to try and sneak it into our food. They already are. They're introducing it into the schools with the school meal programs in the United States of America. They're already starting to feed it to the kids. Like, that is just so wrong. So wrong. So, I am going to we're going to cook it up this year. We're going to cook. We're going to do a lot of cooking. I don't know how many videos I'll be doing around it, but we'll do some videos, right? Assuming that I can see. I mean, I won't know until I go and find out what's wrong with me, but doesn't look like it's going to be happening in the next couple of days anyway. So I just wanted you to know, right? Well, like, it's not right. So I'm not too worried about it in terms of, as Andre grows, he's going to be a big guy. And it's just going to be like everybody else. Has to find his way. And he can't let people influence him. I mean, she said, Well, Andre, apparently this is how because she says that he wants to go, right? And that, I'm holding him back. But when she's gone, and I talk to Andre, of course I get a different story, right? And, apparently she was saying that if you don't go to school, I'm taking away the Nintendo that I gave you. So he wants to go to school because he doesn't want to lose his Nintendo. But then he says he doesn't want to go because, he knows, right? It's not all it's cracked up to be, because he talks to Jude and stuff like that. Especially when they're forced to wear masks and stuff, right? And where I want to pay Andre to move the wood for me, learn how to make the money, right? Learn how to add it up, learn how to plan what he wants to buy, which is a brand new Nintendo, and do that with him so that he learns how to do it, right? So that's what we're going to be doing. It's just a matter of me going outside and getting him started. It's hard for me to see, right? But, and it's hard with Amari because, when you're outside working, it's kind of hard having to deal with a child like with Amari, because you have to pick him up or whatever it is, right? Where in the old days, when I was outside working, I just worked 10 hours straight. Kids would make me a sandwich, I'd wolf it down, drink whatever I'd drink, and I'd go right back to work. I can't do that now. It's hard. And I could see in those days. I can't see shit these days. Very little can I see. So everything slows down. But Andre's getting bigger. So in the next little while, he's going to be working and making money and planning to buy himself a new Nintendo. So I told him, if your aunt wants to come and take the Nintendo away because you're not going to school, that's okay, because you're working and you're going to save money and you'll buy a new one. So what? You go through 2-3 months without a Nintendo. The longer the better for me, right? Because then he does other things, right? But when you do get your $300 or $400 and you can go buy yourself a brand new one, nobody can take that away from you. Although, Andre, if you get into trouble with me and I want to ground you from that Nintendo, I'm going to do that. Do you understand, Andre? Yes, Nana, I understand. Okay, I'm not taking it away from you and never giving it back. I'm just taking it away to ground you from it because it's a problem. Right? It's a big distraction, right? But if he works for it, gets a brand new one, and nobody can use it as a tool to manipulate him to do something, right? To which is a dangerous precedence to set, because there's going to be a day when he's going to be with somebody else that, he wants, Andre's got something or whatever, and they're going to, they're going to manipulate him, people, and they're going to introduce him to drugs or whatever, who knows? Like, Surrey is a very dangerous place for kids. And then, as he gets bigger, depending on what's going on, Marcane might even take him to work. Because Marcane is a tree cutter. So there's that flexibility there. Right? To gain more life skills. Once he becomes a teenager. Like, 14, 15, 16, 17. Right? So it's not like Andre is just, right? It's not going to be like that. And Marcane will probably still be reading with him at that age if Andre isn't reading on his own by that time. See, I'm okay with that slow pace. As long as he comes out healthy, right? Whereas Tisha, I don't know what she's thinking. Right. But whatever it is, you know, she needs to just, I don't know, people. Like I said, I don't want to cut her up. I know her intentions are in the right spot. Everybody's feeling stressed out because Andre isn't performing as much as we'd like it to be, right? But we just have to give it some time. That's all. He's really good with Amari, you know, in terms of keeping an eye on him and stuff like that. He's really patient, right? You know, he pays attention to things that you'd be surprised what he pays attention to when it comes to keeping an eye on Amari, right? And, I mean, it would be great if Andre could look after Amari full time. But I tell Andre, that can't happen unless you learn how to cook, clean. Andre's a scatterbrain. All right. And that kind of stuff. But even if he is not capable of doing that, like I said, he's, you know, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I want to, and because he's getting older now, right? You know, I can enroll him into a couple of little activities or something like that. And, you know, if I can't, because I won't be able to walk him there, that's for sure. And I won't allow him to walk there and back by himself. You know, it's either I can send him there in an Uber and send him back in an Uber. And I did ask Marcane if I enroll him into a little, you know, just a little activity or something like that. Now that he's older, right? You know, can you pick him up and drop him off? And my son said, yeah, he can help with that. Right? But I couldn't do it when he was younger, that's for sure. You know, I've had Amari for what? Almost 5 years now. I was stuck at home. Pretty much. So I'm going to water things a little bit. It's supposed to rain, but it didn't rain. And then after that, do you see? Looks like a lot, but once you dehydrate it, it's hardly nothing, right? Okay, so this is what I bought. You can see these part there. I'm going to cut and reroot. These are mine. You can see how big they are. Huge. Right? And you can see what happened with those green onions that I planted after sprouting them inside, after cutting off the tops. So now I'm going to cut all this up, put it on dehydrating trays. I'm going to dehydrate it. Hold on a minute. All right. So I'll just turn this on for a minute, since I'm right here. I'm just cutting these now. And then after that, after I get these in the dehydrator, then I'm going to get into this fat, and I'm going to cut it up, get it ready for tomorrow, and I'm going to rest and start fresh tomorrow and work on that tomorrow. Right? Getting ready for winter, and teach Andre how to cook. Yeah. Right. So he might be a chef sooner than he thinks. Right. because you're going to have to make your own bread and crackers and all that kind of stuff just to make sure that you know what you're getting. Yeah, it's just going to be one of those things. See, I get it from everywhere. I get it from my son. Right. Lose thousands of dollars there. More than likely. Yeah. Lose a lot of money, that's for sure. After it's all said and done. I get it from my daughter who wants to boss me around in my own house. Tell me that everything that I own is basically junk. Yeah. Right. And she wants nothing of it. Whatever. Stupid shit.
What you cooking?
Nothing. I'm getting these in the dehydrator finally.
Are they onions?
Yeah.
Oh, dear, my eyes.
They're for noodles and stuff. I can use these when I make that homemade macaroni that I did. If we don't make it
For
fresh.
a second there, I thought you were cooking chicken. I'm like, yay!
No, I'm too tired. I'll cook that chicken tomorrow.
But
I'm just cutting up that.
could you cook the Chinese nose with it?
Yeah, maybe.
That'll be good, eh? Chicken with Chinese nose.
Yeah, I'm just going to be rendering pork fat and beef fat tomorrow. So yeah, you can help make it. That's what's going to happen. He has to learn how to cook. He wants to be a chef anyway. So I'm going to up the ante. So I'll be standing here now for about an hour cutting onions. Yeah, I'll be back. Okay, so what I bought for $4, it's a lot. Anyway, that's that.